So I've been here at CSP&J for almost 15 years. August actually made 14, so I'm getting there. I started off in support services, working at one of the houses in Asbury, and then moved around a little bit and kind of find my way up to Jersey City. We used to call them self-help centers back then, and have happily kind of progressed the model, and we've turned it into a wellness center now. Housing first is typically the model that we follow, which in the way we believe is that, putting that individual in housing first is the first step. They don't need to be sober, they don't need to be seeing a psychiatrist, they don't need to have all these other things that are, to maybe what other agencies are, kind of need to be done first before they get to their housing. Everybody knows that if you don't have somewhere to go and rest, and you can't really begin all the other processes, work and documentation, and just kind of being able to, in general, just get rest. They may think, oh, well, if they just get sober, then they could just go back to work and everything's fine. Or, if they just go take care of themselves. And that's really not the case. To really build yourself back up, it takes a lot. It takes someone like a place like this that we obviously deal with it all the time, but someone to kind of really maybe be there for you through the recovery, and work your way back to where you want to be. You can't create a whole new life for yourself in a week. It's not realistic.
My reason for being homeless wasn't that my parents put me out or that I was on drugs or anything like that. It was my mental health. I wasn't diagnosed at the time, but down the line, I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which is part bipolar and part schizophrenia, which led to me being paranoid. I didn't have any friends. I didn't talk to anybody. I was just kind of isolated and walking the mean streets of Denver, Colorado at all hours of the night. So I finally got back here. I got involved in the partial care program at HCI and got in the alumni group. And one of the girls in the alumni group told me about New Dimensions, a new place that was opening up, which was one of CSP's self-help centers, as they were called then. So I went in October 1998 and told my story for the first time, and it was really empowering, and that was my first step towards becoming a person with being involved with CSP&J. I developed so much as a person that it's just, it's amazing. Like the medicine made me feel well. My religion made me feel happy, but my development as a person, a contributing person to society and to the community, came with my involvement with CSP&J.
Coming to CSP, one of the exciting things has been over the last 25, almost 30 years, is creating a supportive housing model. And I think CSP was one of the very first behavioral health agencies in New Jersey to really embrace supportive housing. And we embraced it because we saw people who were living in boarding homes. When they weren't compliant with supportive services, they lost both their housing and their services, which is really a devastating thing for any human being. And CSP has developed a really strong supportive housing model where the housing is separate from the services. When you live in housing, your obligations and responsibilities are the lease. It's a tenant and landlord responsibility. And I think we are probably the largest operator of supportive housing in New Jersey. I met Ken and Larry, Reagan Development, about 15 years ago. And we worked together when I was at the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And the low-income housing tax credit program at the agency gave extra points for people who did special needs housing. And Ken and Larry embraced putting people in with behavioral health challenges, putting them into housing, and they were delightful to work with. They're very straightforward. The quality of their housing is really good. And so it's been a really strong partnership. We've provided the services, they've provided the units of housing with rental assistance. And it's normal, integrated housing in the community. And I think it's a great partnership.
Pam knew us as family and senior housing developers, and she approached us and said, we want you to be sort of the lead developers in coming in and trying to help us integrate supportive housing into multifamily developments. And we were the first developers. We took her up on her offer, and she was so energetic, and she really gave us all the pluses and educated us as to the benefits of doing supportive and integrated housing.
Larry and I work with a lot of different support agencies, both in New Jersey and throughout the Northeast, and CSP is a really special agency. I think as this audience thinks about where they might want to provide their support, this is really something where you know every dollar that you give to CSP is going to go to help people who absolutely need that help. And the advocacy and the support that CSP gives is something that, you know, we really appreciate in our own business, but as a person who also looks at things, okay, if I was a donor, what would I do? This is money well spent, and every dollar you give is going to go to help people in need.